What's going on? My name's Dan and this is DTM Design. Welcome to another build video. So it's been quite a while since I've posted, but I'm back again. You saw in the thumbnail, we're doing a special May 4th Star Wars Day celebration build. We're going to be going back to the year 1999, summertime. Phantom Menace just came out. I am 4 years old and I'm seeing it in the theaters. Now during this time, Pepsi was running a huge promotional campaign with plenty of products and advertisements. One of those things was a Pepsi vending machine. Now one of these Pepsi vending machines does still exist out in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and so we're going to be recreating it and sealing it in a miniature form as somewhat of a time capsule. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. Please leave a comment, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell. I really appreciate it. Now let's get into this build.
Alright guys, so starting off here, we have all the panels pre-cut here from the laser cutter. We have the graphics that I set up on Illustrator, and so now we're just going to go and start putting together the main structure, which is the rear box of the vending machine, which is pretty simple. Using some of these strips that are pre-cut, I'm able to add some support and put all these panels together. Have that cross brace so it doesn't sway anyway, even though it's a small machine. Now here's the button panel layout that was laser cut. It makes it a lot simpler since it's so delicate, and this clear acrylic piece helps put the graphics on, and then I will be able to lay other acrylic pieces I have over top of it to give that raised button effect. I did have to sand this a little bit to make it fit, and just kind of fiddle with it and put everything together and make it as seamless as possible. So while a version of myself is working on that, I am on Fusion 360 creating the coin slot and the bill acceptor mechanism for it and starting to 3D print it out. I did have to fiddle with this a few times and make a few different versions until I was happy with what I got, but eventually got there. And so yeah, that's what these two look like. These are the newer versions. I did have to surface the parts to get rid of the print lines and just make them look like a manufactured part. As clean as possible and as realistic as possible. Just using my little filing tool, just getting all the extra little details, making sure everything's nice and crisp. And then we go ahead and start working more on the front panel of the vending machine again, cutting out these strips, just to make sure there's no light that will seep through once I put in the LEDs. And then I lay a coat of primer over these front panels and the back box. Alright guys, so while that primer is drying, I collect and gather up all the electronics I'll be using in this. The LEDs is the main light source and a few other parts. With some black paint laid down on the panels that we were working on earlier, I used some super glue to add these bolt details. Now just lightly tapping with a toothpick, they'll harden if I don't touch them, and then you can lay some paint over them and you get this nice little bolt effect. It's pretty easy. Cutting up the graphics and laying all these button decals down to really bring the machine to life and bring that realism. I have this clear sheet of acrylic that I did not end up using, but I thought the process was interesting to show, using this cardboard tube and my heat gun to give a slight bend to it, as most vending machines have that slight curve in the front, and to get that effect, that's how I created that. I eventually went on to just use a sheet of styrene to stick the sticker onto, and I thought this just looked a lot better, and the lights for the LEDs shine through it much better, so it was just the route I went. And then using some of those styrene strips that I painted up black, I kind of seal that in and locked it into place. And now these are the buttons that I'll be laying down to give that raised effect and just make that realistic feel and classic vending machine look. Stepping away from the actual vending machine itself, we started focusing on the base. Now setting up a laser cut file to do the brick background, and also give enough space to house all the electronics in a compartment of its own, and the switch holes and such. So we go ahead and just use some simple super glue, some acceleration, and my saw here just to kind of modify some things that weren't correct, and just putting together this base very quickly. It's nothing too complicated, and I put the little degrees or the coordinates to where the machine actually located, and kind of mount up where the batteries will be sitting. Moving forward here, I used some pink insulation foam and my foam cutter to create a slope, as the machine is sitting on a slight downhill position in real life. So using this foam, I'm able to create that slope up against the background of the brick, and then using some styrene, I just lay those down to create the concrete that we have, and then texturizing it with a mixture of putties and random things. Now using some green epoxy putty, I give several bricks a raised look to give some more life to the wall, some more realism. And now I have gone back to electronics, mounting the LEDs inside, making mounts for everything, and then moving my way on to creating the gate that is sitting in the background of the vending machine, and then also sealing up the sides of the pink foam with some Bondo, and then laying a gray primer down on the entire base to begin the painting process. Now I laid down a simple black coat on the gate, and we'll be building up on that later. Now using some cheap Home Depot paint, you can find this in the paint section. It's samples that people didn't like, and they're 50 cents. You can get some beiges, some grays, some very basic colors, but stuff that you can use for washes, and just doing stuff like this, creating a foundation and building up layers. Using some grays and blacks and the sponge, I kind of started getting a nice texturized look on the concrete, and then putting down some white on the bricks, and then using a different variety of color palettes to create different tones of the bricks throughout, and painting them one at a time, making sure to keep the grout lines unfilled with paint, and then doing a sacrificial thing of just all your hard work and covering it in an acrylic wash. Hopefully you don't mess anything up, and then wiping away as much excess as possible. Now moving back to the gate, we lay a pretty wet silver dry brush down on it, and then pull out some of our pastels and start weathering everything, the base, the gate, putting some rust down, some drip stains, some bushes, really bring it to life. Taking off the base, we then spray paint all the sides with black to give it a nice finished look. And you can't be building this without watching some Menace on the side, right? Last thing we need to do is kind of build that drink catch spot. Now it's just pretty much a black box, so nothing too complicated, just enough to block it out. So using some simple styrene, we create that, and that's the final seal up, and we can finally put the door onto the main body of the machine and start doing the wiring. But I also want to seal off any cracks, so once the light does come on, it doesn't shine through in weird spots. Now I wanted to make the top very weathered, where the middle had been beaten by the elements so much, where it was kind of bare metal, and then there's kind of black paint still on the outer edges. So I kind of went and used a sponge and just built up layers on that, and then sealed up the back with a piece of styrene, put the switches in the holes, mounted the machine to the base with its little levelers that are there in real life, pieces of wood, and started wiring up all the lights and LEDs, and just giving them a little test there, and they look great. So now pretty much coming to the last details here, a little hatch for the batteries, laying down some felt, and a little last weathering, and add in these side decals. And that's about it. Hope you guys enjoy these high detailed shots. And thanks for watching.
Alright everybody, that was today's build video. I hope you guys had a lot of fun following me along. As always, I had a great amount of fun putting this together, going down a little nostalgia lane for me, just re-experiencing the Phantom Menace movie. I will be going out to the real life location in Pennsylvania to take photos of this side by side, so keep a lookout for my YouTube short on that. It'll be coming out soon. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you could, just leave a comment, like, or subscribe. Let me know what your favorite Star Wars movie is, or something you want me to build. You can hit me up on Instagram, DTM_design, for more frequent updates. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. I'll see you next time.